If you've been watching my series on Power Rangers vs Super Sentai, then you'll know that one of the biggest frustrations throughout that series has been that it's never explained what happened to the Zeo powers. In Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, they just talk about increasing power and creating new Zords, but no real explanation why. Up until now, the most reliable information we've had was from a 2013 Facebook post by Johnny Young Bosch, who played Adam, the Green Zeo, and Turbo Ranger. He claims that the original script had Adam and Tanya try to save Kimberly and Jason, but their suits get destroyed. He remembers reading, Adam comes out of the water with a shredded suit. And that's all we knew. But there's two people in that scene, Adam and Tanya, played by Nakia Burrise. We know Johnny Young Bosch says he saw Adam's suit was destroyed, but what about Tanya's? What if we could ask Nakia Burrise what she remembers? Nakia?
That has been a question of so many years, and also for us. What happened to the Zeo powers? And to be perfectly honest, I do not recall it being explained in the movie or being cut out of the movie. Those were questions that we actually had as well. It never truly got explained for some reason. I'm sorry I'm not able to help with that, but yeah, there were some really great scenes that were cut out of the Power Ranger Turbo movie. Campfire scene, really great fights, some more intimate scenes where you really got a chance to see our character, but the Zeo powers were never explained.
I wasn't expecting that. Nakia doesn't remember that scene. So what scene was Johnny Young Bosch remembering? Okay, let's just put that aside for a moment. There is another theory. During the Zeo series, Billy kept disappearing for some unknown reason. At times we were made to think that he was sneaking off to be the Gold Ranger, but obviously we find out that it's not him at all, even though he does actually try to take on the powers of the Gold Ranger, but he's unable to. It's thought that maybe Billy was either helping Alpha and Zordon create the Zeo powers, or maybe even create a means of transforming the Zeo powers into the Turbo powers, making an appearance in the Turbo movie. But David Yost left the show, and we never found out whether that was actually the case. So how much truth is there to that? David?
As far as I know, in terms of the scripts that I had at hand, Billy was not working on the Turbo powers that I saw anywhere in the scripts. I was supposed to be in the Turbo movie, along with Amy Jo and Austin St. John, kind of in their realm of how they were in the movie. But obviously when I left, it was just, I think, maybe 2 or 3 months prior to us filming the Turbo movie. So I really don't know what was going on with the producer's thoughts or how I would interplay in the script in the Turbo movie. So that's what I have to tell you. I'm sorry, it's probably not the answer that you want. But again, for me, Billy going off to Aquitar and having to go out the way he did in the end, I think worked out best for Billy. There's theories obviously about Billy being the Phantom Ranger, which I'm open to the possibility that was Billy as well. But Billy's out there doing great things, and I really, really do appreciate you asking such a good question.
This isn't going very well, is it? So David's not sure, although it does sound like it may be possible that Billy was the means of bringing in the Turbo powers, as was supposedly in the initial draft of the screenplay, seeing as Billy was meant to be in the film. But that still wouldn't necessarily explain what happened to the Zeo powers exactly. However, the idea that he's the Phantom Ranger is actually quite interesting, as it's never established who that is, although it doesn't really feel like Billy to me. But anyway, I even asked Hilary Shepard, the actress that played Divatox, if she remembered anything, but she seemed to think that there was nothing much cut at all, so that's no help. Let's go back to the Johnny Young Bosch theory. In the theatrical version of the film, we only see the Zeo powers once, and that is when Tommy and Kat go in search of Larigo, and Kat falls off a cliff into some water below. Her Zeonizer snaps off her wrist, but she manages to catch it and tries to morph, and she doesn't quite manage it in time. So if we could ask Catherine Sutherland, maybe she would know what happened to the Zeo powers. Catherine Sutherland?
Matt Fisher. Yes, that's a whole mystery, the Zeo power thing. So in the movie, There was a scene, I believe, that they cut out where it explained why the crystals didn't work in the water. It was something to do with, I think, Tanya and Adam were underwater and they tried to morph, and then something happened and it destroyed the crystals and something like that. But they didn't explain it in the movie. You just see me falling and then they're gone. And they're supposed to be the most powerful power. So that was kind of odd, wasn't it? There was so many things cut from the Turbo movie. There was a campfire scene. There was some amazing fight scenes, and it's just such a shame that they cut all that out. But it is what it is. Have a beautiful day. Bye.
So that's it then. The Zeo powers are destroyed by water. It's not that Kat wasn't able to morph in time. She couldn't morph because she was in a river, and that destroyed her Zeo powers. And that scene with Adam and Tanya must have been in at least one version of the script, but they never got around to properly filming it, otherwise Nakia would have remembered. I mean, I guess it makes sense in the wider context of the movie. Divatox's base is underwater after all, and she uses Piranatrons as her versions of putties, which are unique to Power Rangers. They were never in Super Sentai. So an underwater villain is kind of hard to fight if your powers get destroyed when you try to pursue her. So these amazing powers brought about by the Zeo Crystal are undone by water. So in theory, Adam, Kat and Tanya's powers were destroyed, but we don't really know about Tommy and Rocky, although Rocky is out of the picture anyway. Tommy does go into the water too, but doesn't morph. It's only because Kat morphed as she was falling, and Adam and Tanya morphed as they tried to free Kimberly and Jason, and presumably also Bulk and Skull, from Divatox's submarine. And I suppose it would explain the whole travelling to where Malagor is by boat, I guess, particularly as there was supposedly a mermaid character that was cut from the film who was meant to act as a guide, and a mermaid would be useful because they had to pass through the Nemesis Triangle. Again, something not really explained very well. But if they have to pass through water, then yeah, I guess the Zeo powers would have been no use. There's apparently also a deleted scene where Adam bungees to save the mermaid, I think when he goes onto the island first, but obviously this scene was cut as the whole character was. One of the deleted scenes that Nakia and Catherine refer to was also meant to be between Tommy and a crocodile, or maybe an alligator. We can still see a still from this on the back of the VHS and some DVD covers, as well as some promotional cards, where Kat uses a flamethrower to scare it away. This was included in the comic of the movie, but we don't necessarily know if Tommy tried to morph or not, which maybe isn't a necessary detail anyway, but I suppose the Zeonizer would then maybe be waterlogged. Help me out here, Jason.
Hey Matt, what's happening, buddy? As far as the Zeo in the scripts, they didn't really explain what happened to the Zeo powers. I think at one point they just did honestly, there was a lot of Japanese footage. They tried to piece everything together in American footage, and then they didn't really tell the actors, honestly. And now Kat's morph failed as she dropped into the water. That is true. That's very true. I didn't think about it. I'm thinking maybe short circuit. I mean, kind of like if you drop water to the phone. And anything water scenes cut from Turbo movie, the only scene that was cut was when me and Kat, we were swimming into the water, and then there was like an alligator, and we had to wrestle an alligator, and she brought this big torch flame out and torch flame this alligator, and I think they said, oh no, we can't use that. So that was the only scene that was really cut. I did my own rapid scenes, which was pretty cool. It was, I've never been in rapids. That was my first time I was in rapids. So I did my first rapid scenes, which was like kind of wild. But anyway, Matt, hope I answered your questions, dude. And I really hope we get a chance to see each other during all this crazy stuff. You know what time it is? It's morphin' time. Shifting a turbo. Wow.
So I guess not. Tommy had a rapid scene cut, and he did fight the alligator, but as Tommy, not the red Zeo Ranger. So it comes down to the pink, green, yellow, and maybe red Zeo powers being destroyed by water, while the blue Zeo Ranger potentially still has his powers but needs to be replaced anyway by Jason, who becomes the new blue Turbo Ranger. And water being the culprit is still canon because it's still in the movie when Kat's morph fails. It wasn't explained properly, and we were made to think that it was just a timing thing, but it wasn't, and it wasn't cut either. So that is it. But water, though? It's like the end of Signs all over again. I mean, it's good to finally have an answer, but really? And cars are somehow the solution to powers that don't work in water? I mean, mermaid stuff and ships, sure, but cars? How did they make that connection? And who created the turbo powers? In the movie, the Rangers technically create the Zords with Alpha, but it's safe to say that this should have been Billy, and Billy probably still did create the turbo powers, but then his moving to Aquitar meant that he couldn't complete the job. But I guess that part isn't canon because we don't see it, unless the writers confirm it at some point, that is. It does seem odd, though, that the Rangers would have to go on these fantastical journeys to secure sections of the Zeo crystals, and then the turbo powers just then exist. But it is what it is. Water destroyed the Zeonizers and the Zeo powers. Wonder if they tried putting them in rice.